gonna do it pronto. That's the difficulty. You don't have any agreement with any entity to do that, no binding agreement.
And that monitoring is being done under a contract between Suffolk and Johnson, so if something happens with that contract, once again, we're left holding the bag, so the license agreement from the school board in Suffolk will spell out all the terms of that.
We don't think very highly of the contractors around here, do we?
Well, for 5 years down the road, probably not.
Only because of historical issues.
Especially if you're dealing with the school district as a governmental body, they can say, hey, we don't have an agreement in writing. And they can claim sovereign immunity and say.
And I guess that's what my concern is, because between the 1st and the 4th, something has changed on the restoration plan, but the restoration plan was, a new one has not been submitted, because I guess I'm reading the same email that you are.
The details of the plan, I don't know, Chris can maybe talk to that, I don't know.
Okay, I guess we'll wait for the 5th.
Thank you. C, Leslie. Utility payment credit fee.
Hey, Madam Chairman, before supervisor comments after Leslie, if I have a couple things just
Sure.
to announce for the next board meeting. if I can.
Sure.
Thank you.
Leslie Rictorbic, Utility Billing Manager. The agenda item is to enforce and implement a credit card transaction process fee. So when customers choose to make a payment for their dog park or their utility bill, and they want to make a payment with a credit card or a debit card, they will be subject to a flat fee of $2.95 per the transaction, or 2% of the balance, whichever is greater. So currently, right now, we don't accept American Express or electronic checks. With this new configuration, we would be able to accept all forms of payment because the customer would be paying those processing fees. I think in the past, I cannot answer why we have not imposed these fees. They are on our schedules of
They've been there
fees.
since 2011, yes.
Correct.
And the language that's in there is flexible enough because it's to lock it in at any particular rate, otherwise we have to constantly go back and constantly change it.
Correct. So I can't answer why it hasn't been done in the past. All I know is that since I've been here and last year, we've been working towards getting to this point, making sure that we're PCI compliant, upgrading our customer portal because we had some configuration issues, and also discussing what that fee should be.
Madam Chairman, I'd like to make a motion to approve the recommendation.
Payment card industry standards.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion?
Yeah, and we're charging a transaction fee because we're incurring that fee.
Correct.
So we're basically charging it
That's
back.
your passing on.
I don't know.
I think that's standard pretty much across the.
Yeah, if there's a statute, that's what I was gonna say, in fact, there's a statute that talks about that. If a unit of local government, including special district, county community, I know like a tax collector, property appraiser, they say, you wanna pay by credit card, and nobody uses Amex, so the cost is too high, Visa or MasterCard.
That came up on our HO rate.
Yeah, we can impose it, and then we have to, and most of them do that, so it's not unusual.
And by us absorbing that cost, the customers that don't use that service are paying for that charge. That convenience charge, that cost.
Yeah, we're authorized to
that's just
surcharge the
spread out.
person who uses the credit card, it's
Right.
specific authorization under the statute.
Yeah, okay.
So we have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right.
You know, that's section 215.322 for statute.
Okay. Thank
I'll
you.
send it to you later.
All right, thank you, Leslie. Tony, you asked for time?
Yeah, briefly, the county is moving pretty quickly on documents for the the Commerce Lakes Drive and Gateway Boulevard roundabout. I've handed out copies of emails from John Fredim and I have been communicating. And you know John's been working on Gateway projects for years, and we have the district and I have a good working relationship with John. And so I was asking him what the timing is from the county's perspective, in that you mentioned that the Lee County Board of Commissioners is meeting December 3rd and 17th. And to schedule it for the December 17th Lee County Commission meeting, I'd have to let them know by November 26th whether or not Gateway will be considering the interlocal agreement and the joint project agreement. Then you put in parentheses and approving. So if we could, and Chris and I talked briefly about scheduling this for the December 5th meeting, so that I could feel comfortable telling John, please place it on the, make a placeholder at least, for the Lee County Commission meeting of December 17th. Having completed my review of the agreement, but it seems pretty straightforward. There's a couple of questionable areas that Chris, Danny, and I can talk about before we bring it to the board. But I think it's pretty straightforward.
So you're asking to get it on the agenda for?
Right, just advise that we have this and placing it on the agenda for December 5th, just sort of a heads up. And I appreciate John working on it so quickly, quite frankly.
Tony, that's gonna be tough too, because due to staff being out, and on our staff more so from our side for next week, a few days, we need to have those agenda items in Monday or Tuesday for the December 5th meeting.
Well, we have the agreements, and we don't have our comments yet. So we
I'll
can,
put it on as a placeholder.
yeah, and again, if Danny or Tyler, you and I get together as soon as possible, we can talk tomorrow about concerns. And so we may not have the final document by then, but at least we'll have some recommendations possible.
We'll
So-
plan on you giving us the final document at the December 5th meeting at the latest, but if we had a draft of what you're planning on giving us for the board book, that'd be great.
Okay.
Because I know that
Yep.
this is time sensitive.
And again, 'cause I think the county's on a fast track. Chris, do you know what the latest schedule is for them wanting to do this, or?
I have here, but they need to put their agenda items in the third week in January, the third week in December to make it onto that January, because there is no,
Right.
late December meeting.
December 17th is the meeting.
And they're trying to, get that moved because of their expedited construction schedule.
Yeah. And in here, some of the things we need to look at is, that caused me a little bit of pause, is how, I guess, we can talk about more detail about who's actually gonna do the utility construction work. Is there a contractor or our contractor?
I thought it was.
I thought it was theirs.
Through JPA, that's
Yeah.
part of that agreement.
Okay, we'll push for the, yeah, have it before the board.
Anything else, Tony?
All right.
Okay, that brings us to supervisor comments. Mr. Tinkle.
Yeah, I got a couple. At the country club, is Lennar going to be getting the easement for the extension of that about 900 feet? There's nothing that we need to do. It's in Lennar's park to go to the club and get that easement dedicated to Gateway Services CDD to extend the water and the reuse line down to Arborwood Phase 3.
Yes, sir, Mr. Caldwell asked me for contact information for the golf club, and I
Jimmy
provided
Lynn.
that to him. Yep.
Okay, good. For Tony, this goes way back. We've got a little bit of a catch-up to do. We've got these roads and these associations, property owners associations that have gone defunct. Well, one of them, Town Lakes, did it the right way and came to us a negotiated agreement several years ago, in which we are surcharging them on their rates. I don't know how this is gonna come out when we do the assessment methodology issue, but the question that I was asked, and I didn't know the answer, the owner of that asked, have those roads been turned over, deeded over to the CDD? He's of the opinion they have not.
That's correct.
What do we need to do that?
I think Town Lakes is in the same situation as the, I'll go back and check.
Okay, because
What- yeah, I can't remember
because
which-
the owner is, I know him very well, we can get him to sign anything we need.
I know, I can't remember which one, whether it was Fairway Lakes or Town Lakes or WCI, it was still the entity to convey, but I'll double check it.
Okay, let me know on that.
And by the way, our board, Phase 3 utility easement, because I've been tied up in other matters, David Caldwell sent proposed utility easement back on November 12th
Okay.
for
Arborwood.
our board Phase 3.
Danny said he was looking at them. My whole deal is that those plans are worthless unless I get that line back there, because I ain't got no water if it doesn't happen. Assessment methodology, when's Russ making, is he gonna do it at the fifth?
I've requested him, 2 different emails to show up on the 5th.
Better bring a box of lunch to that meeting.
Is he responding
Longer,
yet, or-
longer.
I haven't heard back from him yet. I know
He
he's
might be,
working.
he's right down the street from me.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure that we didn't drop it. We're gonna start backing up on time if we don't watch out.
I
for
told
this.
him it was imperative it got to the board in December.
If you can remind me, I'll go and say, Tony, please knock on Russ's door.
And then the last one I had was, and Chris, you're knowledgeable of it, and that is I've got a lot of concerns about Commerce Lakes cul-de-sac and the drainage. And you're gonna talk to him about extending that pipe down to the 54-inch pipe.
Correct.
Good. That's all I have.
Mr. Banks?
Nothing for me.
Mr. Rod?
I'm good, thank you.
Mrs. Cleary?
Yes. I did get Chris gave me the amount for the cost of mailing. Our second thing was almost $9,000. That could have paid for the irrigation in the Golden Lakes. $9,000, and we can't get that back, right?
The news press is generally not generous on credits.
I'm just saying, it costs us, that's how much it costs for the second.
We can always ask them and say, say, here,
They owe us one.
yeah, you all
Yeah, I'm,
messed up and we had to do this because you all didn't do it.
and
So,
that's how much it cost us,
I
yeah.
can draft a letter to the board once, there's no harm in doing that.
Wouldn't bother me, that's big bucks.
Yeah.
We have to
It'll go to the
advertise a
corporate.
public hearing for the,
The
Assessment methodology.
Assessment method. Yeah.
so they should give us that for free.
Margaret wants to store
I
credit.
think that's an
Yeah.
excellent idea. Margaret's gonna hand carry that downtown.
I will. I
I'll
will.
print it out in 11x17 paper so they can see it.
There's only one problem with that too, is when you're dealing with those people, you're dealing with their corporate in New Jersey, there's no
I'll call New
presence.
Jersey.
What is that,
Presence
Gannett? Where's that,
here.
Gannett?
And that, well, they just merged too.
They just merged, yeah.
It's
Saw
another
that.
really monstrous, really, too, between.
Mrs. Cleary?
Oh, yes, I do. The sidewalks around the soccer field, they're not even, that's kind of a safety issue. I'm surprised that no one got hurt on movie night when they had a walk. I'm afraid of our Christmas thing, when they're walking around and getting, food and everything.
Well, we are grinding those down and hopefully we'll have that Kubota, we can go in and bust those panels up before Christmas. And there's 2 sections there on the sidewalk that are problematic and they've been painted orange.
Yes, I know, but I still trip.
Colorblind.
No, you should see them, they're big. Oh, never mind.
And that was also noted in our recent insurance inspection. I'll be bringing that report to you on December 5th, but several things in there we've already taken action on. One of the recommendations was to put a 911 emergency phone up at the pool. The sidewalks were another recommendation, and it was a very complete inspection that folks did with some solid recommendations that they made to limit our liability. And repainting the pool deck with the shark skin was one of them also.
Oh,
And we just got an estimate to do that.
okay. And I have a question for our attorney.
Yes, ma'am.
The letter that you had drafted for the Attorney General, when is that gonna come back to us?
It'll be probably, well, right now, probably the first meeting in January,
Okay,
only because it won't be there for the first meeting in December, and that's the only meeting.
okay. And those rocks on, at the,
Won't make any,
south,
oh, no, I could leave it to later.
light, whatever you call it, SPL. Okay. Those rocks, after they did all their work, they left some rocks there. Are they gonna come pick those up?
Where are you talking about?
On Griffin Drive.
Okay.
You mean across the street?
Yeah, right across the street, right in the corner, there are rocks, after they did all the lighting.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I'll check with them. They may or may not. It's their easement.
I know,
Not
it
our
just
property.
doesn't look very nice.
But I'll check with them and see. I would
Okay.
assume they would be. They've moved the debris from their other sites.
They're
It's
sitting there.
interfering with drainage.
And we had you mentioned it already, the survey that we had done, when are we gonna see those results of that survey?
They were presented several months back at a board meeting.
I didn't see this thing.
Mr. Tinkle, remember you discounted it because of the low response rate.
Oh, yeah.
That's, okay.
So, all right, and if we're gonna have a presentation with the, assessment methodology person, isn't that a workshop? Because that's gonna take a while. We're gonna do that December fifth.
Probably won't take that long,
It's really a kickoff because that's gonna require a public hearing
yeah.
and a few months, and what we're trying to do is to get the ball rolling.
Mythology, yes, I have mythology, I do have that as mythology.
Some might think it's mythology.
Really, Chris, that's just an update, right?
Well, it's an update, and he's supposed to have that work product, the preliminary one done and presented to the board in December, because you really need to bring it formally to the board and accept it in January, so we can have a public hearing in February, and in March adopt it, because you wanna be ready beginning of
Budget time.
budget season. And there will be, a lot of public interest, especially from the commercial entities, due to the increase in the stormwater assessment for those large parking aprons, so that's gonna take a lot of public relations to get out there and work with those stakeholders.
But they get relief on the other
This
side
is
too.
just the
Right.
beginning.
Okay, is
But
this-
they need to understand that, and until you sit down with them or put it in a public forum and invite them in and meet with them, and that's what we're gonna try to
We're
do.
just gonna have to have examples before and after for a bunch of them.
Is this gonna be 100% finished this time?
We'll see.
For Russ's sake and Mr. Tinkle, I hope so.
Anything else? I have one thing, Chris, and that is, I just wanna bring it up, cause, on the Stony Brook weir, we need a baffle.
Okay, I thought that was,
Is it, I do not believe it's been installed yet.
okay,
Last time I looked at the weir, which was a couple weeks ago, it was not there.
Okay.
So
I'll
this
follow
would
up with
probably
that
be a
because-
good time to get that up.
yeah, they're supposed to have one there in Hampton Park.
Put it on the upstream side.
Yes, sir.
And with that, I will call this meeting adjourned. 6:14.
Happy Thanksgiving, everybody.
Thank
Happy Thanksgiving. Oh, I mean, I can send you my memo. I can send you my memo.
Do you wanna get together sometime next week or talk about that?
Yeah.
Yeah, what I'm doing is linking all the positions and the names.
The next dedication, all dedications to the association.
Yeah, let me